What's going on, guys? Mr. Clasher here. Welcome back to another Clash Royale video. In today's video, guys, I'll be showing you a new HOG cycle deck that I've been recently started to use, and I gotta say this deck is pretty awesome. So I got it from one of the top players in the world, but I was actually going through replays and I was seeing what kind of decks players are using, and I found this deck. Now, the very first time I did try this deck, I think I lost, or maybe twice, but after that I started doing pretty good. So this deck is, I'll show you guys how it works in a couple of replays. So first of all, I first tested this deck in the Classic Challenge, I believe, and surprisingly it does very well. I currently have two Hog Rider cycle decks. Both are very, very good. I do like the one that brought me to 3,700 trophies, but again, I'm testing this deck because I do want to try different decks, different Hog cycle decks. Make sure, you know, I'm comfortable with different HOG decks. And I gotta say, this one is really, really good. So, now, again, this deck is not made for usually, you know, 3 crown win. It's basically 1 to 2 crown, basically deck. That's what it is. And I gotta say, this deck is pretty awesome. Definitely, if you guys don't have the princess or the log, maybe try to replace it with like a bomber or something relatively cheap. This pretty much deck does require, though, a couple legendaries such as the princess and the log for it to work. Now, I'm actually doing very well in my classic challenge, so I might actually keep going with the deck and see how far I get. I don't really plan on getting 12 wins the classic challenge, but it would be nice if I do. I'm just testing decks. Basically, when I, you know, get a new deck, test a new deck, I always go into classic challenge. It's only 10 gems, and definitely it's really, really fun to, you know, try out, because I'm not going to be trying decks out at 3,700 trophies because I cannot afford to lose, like, you know, 2-3 straight battles. That's just costly. So I do classic challenge very, very cheap, 10 gems again. The reason I don't do that, obviously, is because the grand challenge is 100 gems and it's not worth it because the people are better. And especially if you're testing a deck, you know, try just maybe, you know, do the classic challenge or your clan members. 2 ways to do it, very, very cheap. I mean, 10 gems isn't really much, guys, to be honest. 10 gems, you can pick it up after a couple of chests, I believe, if they give you gems. I believe those chests do give you gems. So we're going to fast forward this a little bit, and let's see. So I kind of test out how this deck works and which kind of different ways it does work. So this player actually went full mode and thought he might have, you know, could beat me, but actually it was a pretty close battle. So I'm still learning this deck, guys, but I think it's amazing, and I would definitely give it a go. I'm testing this deck currently, and it is going pretty well. As you guys can see, I just got 2 crowns, not bad. Again, with this deck, there is a pretty good amount of counters to, such as the Lava Hound because of the Inferno Tower. Now, the Royal Giant is another story. I really dislike the Royal Giant, really do. And both of these replays actually contain a pretty good example of tanky troops such as the Lava Hound, the Inferno Dragon, and as you guys are seeing right now, it is the Golem. And I'll show you guys how this deck performs under like heavy, I guess, what do you call it? I mean, high HP troops, and see how it defends. So this deck is actually, I believe, 3.3 elixir, so it's not super duper cheap, but it's not super expensive at all either. So it's right in the middle. I'd say my other Hog Rider cycle deck is 2.8 elixir, so it does work pretty well. And I actually messed up a little bit here. This player did a pretty good job, actually. I was getting really nervous. I was like, wow, my tower is already at 864. And I was getting really mad right now because I was like, what is going on? Definitely cannot lose to this player. But the thing I found out, I guess, around this player is right when he dropped his Golem, I knew his deck was going to be much more expensive than my deck, so I had to rush him. Now right here I got a couple hits from the minions, which actually helped me quite a bit. And again, his deck was probably a little bit more expensive than my deck because the Furnace, the Golem, the Valkyrie, you know, all those cost, you know, elixir, especially the Golem, 8 elixir. My highest, I believe my highest troop cost is 5 elixir, which is the minion horde, and then 4 elixir the Hog Rider and the Inferno Tower. So I believe his deck is more, maybe not, but we're going to fast forward this a little bit. So basically, when a player has really tanky troops and you do have a HOG cycle deck, definitely rush him. Maybe on the other side, just right when he drops the Golem, just rush the other side as fast as possible, because if you drop 8 elixir, you're not going to have much elixir to defend. If a hog and, you know, some goblins or a log comes in, you're not going to, you know, have much to defend. So definitely that's my tip, is just to attack the opposite side of what you're getting attacked with heavily tanked troops. So anyway, I really hope you guys did enjoy the video. Again, this deck is tested. I've tested this, I believe, like 4 or 5 times already, and it's working out pretty well. So I'll keep you guys tuned and maybe see if this deck is actually really good, better than usual. But again, this battle deck is tested, so that's why I did a little bit of a strategy video. But I'll show you guys the deck right now. So this is pretty much it: the Goblin Barrel, the Hog Rider, the Ice Spear, the Princess, the Minion Horde, the Skeleton Army, Inferno Tower, which you really do need. You do want to have the Princess and the Log. Those are key to push troops back and whatnot. Hog Cycle deck, obviously, Ice Spirit and the Hog Rider. The Goblin Barrel makes it pretty fun just to throw it at the opponent's base, and then Inferno definitely protects against a lot of tanky troops. So anyway, I really hope you guys did enjoy the video. If you guys did, make sure you guys smash the like button. That would really mean a ton. And as always, I'll see you all on my next video.